Hi, this is Marlene. Thank you for joining me again. I realized in the last video I did not give you guys the great tips on what to do to wake up your kefir grains when you either get them in the mail or you have a friend that has provided them for you and given them to you. So let's get to that. I will show you those tips. It's really easy, but it does require a couple times of just using milk and letting it go 24 or 48 hours, because when you get those grains, if you get them from me, I have always put a little bit of fresh milk in there so that they got something to eat on in transit. But some folks don't do that. They'll just add a little bit of the old kefir milk to it if you get it from a friend, and either way is fine. I just know sometimes when I have to send it halfway across the country, they get really hungry by the time they get there a week later. So what I do is I just take those grains and I put them, if you're getting them in the mail from me, you most likely are getting them in a Ziploc bag, a double Ziploc bag, or if you get them from a friend and they're in a glass jar or something, you're just going to basically, I'll tell you how we're going to do it and then we're going to do it. We're basically going to put those grains out of the Ziploc bag into the jar. And I would recommend starting with just like a 16-ounce jar to start with. You're going to put the grains in there, and then you're going to add like 1 cup of milk. They need some food to get themselves going and waking up. So then I just let that first cup of milk with the grains sit on the counter about 24 hours. And then I strain it out, and that milk will either taste kind of kefired, a little on the tart side, kind of like yogurt, very mild yogurt, or it will be, or it may not even have much of that flavor at all. It might just taste like milk. So then I strain that out, and then I put the kefir grains back in here, and then I then go ahead and add another cup of milk, and this time let it sit 2 days, and then at that point it should be fairly thick. Go ahead and strain it out, and then go ahead and start your kefiring process with your raw milk or whatever milk you're using. Again, remember, the principle is make sure you measure the amount of grains that you've been given. The general principle, some say 1 tablespoon is enough for every quart. I tend to have found better results doing 2 tablespoons per quart. So most folks, I've either sent a couple tablespoons or I've sent like a 1/4 cup, so you can do a 1/2 gallon. If you're a family, I've tried to send you a 1/4 cup so you can at least start with a 1/2 gallon. And so then you just put those grains in here, add your milk, and there you go. And for the rest of the how-tos, I'm going to let you refer to the next video as to detailed instructions and type of container and what you can and you can't use as far as strainer types and stuff with the grains. And yeah, I go through lots of tips and tricks that are kind of fun to see. They're just all my things that I've tried, used, that have failed, and those things that have worked really well. And my thought is that we spend so much good money, or we have animals that we're getting, and we invest a lot in them and their health and what we feed them, that we need to be able to get the most nutrients out of the food that we are preparing. And I would rather not have failures, you know. Unfortunately, that's kind of the learning curve, but maybe you can learn from me and then you aren't going to have failures. So I'll just share all the good stuff I've learned because I want you to have the benefit of all these delicious foods. Kefired milk is a place to start. And so there you go. Let's get to showing you. All right, let me just reposition the camera here so that you can see. Okay, so I have gotten these kefir grains. I actually am going to send these out to somebody, but we'll just do this as an example. I just simply take all that is in the bag. I think you can see that. I just take all that is in the bag. And it might be a bit thick and gloppy, and I frankly would try to just check inside, make sure there's no kefir grains inside, and use a rubber spatula. It looks like everything came out here. Look at that. We have like almost a whole, it's almost half full. So I would simply fill it almost to the top of fresh milk and then put the lid on it and leave it on the counter. Again, 24 hours the first time. Then you take it out and you strain it in a strainer, again using a plastic strainer or stainless steel, absolutely not aluminum. Don't go there, don't do that. And in the next video I show you more about straining them out, but you're going to strain them out, take the kefired milk, either use it to drink if it tastes kefired, or you can just toss it. And then I put the grains back in the same jar, add 1 cup of milk, let it sit another 48 hours this time, 2 days, let it sit 2 days, and then strain it out. Then definitely consume that milk, that kefired milk. And then now in this jar, since we have a 1/4 cup of grains, you're going to then add a 1/4 cup of grains to a 1/2 gallon of milk. Let that go 1 or 2 days. Just depends on, again, what you like as far as the tartness, if you want to, and the benefit, if you want to second ferment. You don't even have to second ferment, nor even leave it 48 hours. That is my preference, and I go through more of that in the next video. So there you go. I think you've got all the instruction to start. I don't, again, use the stainless steel canning jar lids. If I do, because I don't have any of these available and they're being used, I will put a piece of saran wrap put a piece of saran wrap, and then put the metal canning lid on. So again, the grain shouldn't come in contact with any metal other than stainless steel or plastic. So that's what I do if I'm having to use a metal canning jar lid in a pinch. So anyway, and again, just so that you know, I always use this type of jar that has a rubber seal on it, only for doing my milk, and I go through that why in the next video, why that's my jar of choice versus just putting a lid on it like this. And I have here 3 1/2 gallons that I got out of this last batch, and these will all go in the fridge, and then I can use them as I need to almost every day. I use this to make my little smoothies, which are just delicious, and my body just loves them. So anyway, I am so glad you joined me for these few minutes so that I could get you going on getting your grains activated so that you can begin consuming this goodness, and your body will love it. And remember, sometimes it takes a little bit to adjust to something new, and if it means sometimes some folks have a teaspoon a day, or a tablespoon a day, or several times a day. If we're not used to it and we're not as healthy, just have a little bit, see how you do, and then consume it again the next day, or skip a day and then go back. You know, don't stop it. Don't stop it. We need these probiotics in a really rich way that only these kefir grains can provide. It's one of the 3. Remember, we talked in the next one about a trilogy, from, you know, the kefired milk, vegetables, and kombucha. It's called a trilogy in the fermented world. And so learn about that. We'll talk about that more in the next video. So anyway, thanks for joining me. It's been so good to connect with you, and high five on getting started. So anyway, we'll connect next time. Watch my second video for more details. Bye.